Hey everybody, Will Fix here. Got another video for you today. Today I had the awesome chance to interview Andy Sheckman. I have a piece of that interview we'll show you today, and it is what he had to say to the question of tokenization of gold, and he answered to the question of what do you think about Tether tokenizing gold. And then after the Andy Sheckman clip, which I'll have another clip tomorrow and the day after that, and then we'll release the full interview. But so today's clip is about tokenization of gold with Tether, and then after that I have a short video, just about 2 or 3 minutes, on XDC, things happening there. So I thought I would share those with you, and I'm not going to do a decent wallet commercial, so you can use the link if you need a wallet, and just know that that's the commercial. So I'm not doing a commercial, is my commercial. Here we go with Andy Sheckman. Do you have any ideas about how that may blend? I know Tether just announced that they're going to be backing by gold. Do you have something about that
Yeah,
you can speak on?
and I've been pretty consistent with that, I think, for a while now, at least for the last few years. In fact, I started talking about it really in March of 2020, if memory serves me right, when Nancy Pelosi came out with the findings from her House Subcommittee Finance bill that viruses could live on paper currency. I'm like, well, that's the end of the paper currency system as we know it, that they're going to push towards a digital dollar. And, for people who want really good prices that we don't publish on the website, send us an email at info@milesfranklin.com. Say, William Fix sent me, and we'll make sure that you get a special price list.
Excellent.
One that will be probably more competitive than just about anyone in America. And we don't publish that for various reasons. We like to keep it close to the vest, but we only allow purchasing up to 10,000. And on that website, a version 2, which will really kind of be a complete makeover, which will be far more user friendly, is near completion. That will be rolled out very soon. But in the meantime, certainly you can go there for information, and thank you for the compliment. But if people want prices that will be very tough to be beat, send us an email at info@milesfranklin.com. Any questions that you may have as well, you can be asked, and we'll reply to them. Or if you just want the price list, that'd be great too. But it will be worth your listeners' times to do that, to see the prices that we can offer for your listeners. One that would enable, of course, all of the things that the CBDC does in terms of control and in terms of monitoring and whatnot, but that seemed to be like opening the door to it. Zoltan Pozsar is a man who I follow, William, and have for quite some time. I find him to be one of the brightest minds in the industry, and he used to work at UBS, at the New York Fed. He's now at UBS. He was at the New York Fed and understands, in my mind, the plumbing of the Western system perhaps better than anybody. And so the bottom line is that he's talked about the system we're in now being called Bretton Woods 3. Well, Bretton Woods 1 is when the US dollar took over for the pound sterling at the end of World War II. Loosely, Bretton Woods 2 would have been, ironically, 50 years ago last week, when the dollar became the petrodollar, signing the deal with Saudi Arabia, the protection deal. And for that privilege, they would value oil globally in dollars and reinvest excess proceeds in U.S. treasuries. And as we have just found out last week, they have decided to not re-up that agreement to in essence be free to sell oil in whatever currency that they would like. And that puts us square in the middle of Bretton Woods 3. And this is where Zoltan Pozsar says it's all about commodities and transparency, where the currencies that purchase these commodities are worth less than the commodities they are purchasing. In other words, he who has the commodities makes the rules. It always used to be he who has the gold, which the BIS reclassified as the world's only other tier one reserve asset in 2019. But I would say it's more than that. It's the base metals. You know, let's not forget that China bought the London Metals Exchange, which is the base metal hub of the world. It's the rare earths where most are made in the Eurasian, or produced and refined in the Eurasian continent. It's commodities in general, even soft commodities like wheat and corn and soybeans and you name it. But in order to transact a system that is lacking confidence, a system that, much like all currencies going all the way back to Roman times. In fact, I don't have a coin here anywhere, but if you look at one of your quarters or your dimes, they have ridges on them. And if you look at gold coins and silver coins that are made by sovereign governments, they have ridges on them. And the reason those ridges are there was go all the way back to Roman times, where you could draw a parallel to where we are now, when they had to finance their wars and their expansion all throughout the world, and paying their soldiers to represent the interests of the state. They would pay them in gold and silver coins. But they realized that if we just trim a little bit around the edges on every single coin and all the coins we're making, well, we'll have enough trimmings to make a whole bunch of other coins. Eventually, they just started going from precious metals to metals like copper and just debased the whole thing. But the moral of the story is that going all the way back to Roman times, governments have chosen inflation over austerity. In other words, printing over tough decisions. And so we've lost trust. And trust is like a glass that you throw against the wall and realize, oh no, what did I just do? I need to put that back together before mom and dad get home. Ain't gonna happen. And so we are in a situation, to your point, of where I think it is now a system that is moving away from debt based promises, opaque debt instruments like treasuries issued by a government with over 100% debt to GDP ratio, a government that is looked upon around the world by many, at least in the Southern Hemisphere, William, as being wholly hypocritical, where we can invade Iraq 20 years ago under the guise of weapons of mass destruction, say, oh, sorry, we didn't find any.
Yeah.
But here we are 20 years later, still occupying their country, sanctioning 14 of their banks for having the nerve to trade with the Iranian banking system to buy liquid natural gas because they're frying in the summer, 120-degree heat. And so what did Iraq do? They have started process of kicking Western coalition forces out of the country. They have made trading in dollars illegal. If you own a business and do so, you'll wind up in jail and your business will belong to the state. They have formally applied to the BRICS, and they have also made all green dollar bills, ones, fives, tens, 20s, hundreds, out of the country. No banks hold them anymore. So much of the world, and I say that as an example, or where Janet Yellen can do an interview with CNBC 3 weeks ago and say, listen, China, we're okay with you being friends with Russia. My initial thought was, well, geez, thanks, Madam Secretary. That's very benevolent of you, seeing as that we're partners in BRICS. But if you give one penny to the Russian system, to their war effort, we will sanction your banks, your companies, and Beijing itself. Never mind the fact that we have given $260 billion with nary a drip of congressional oversight to the Ukraine, because we're holier than thou, and our what doesn't stink. So the point of it is that we are viewed as hypocritical. And so trust is that broken glass against the wall. Who the hell's going to trust us ever again when we have proven we will weaponize and confiscate and steal your treasuries, your assets, if we don't align ideologically? What I mean by that, the House just approved a bill to steal, let's just call it what it is.
Sanctions.
Steal the $5 billion in Russian assets and use it to buy munitions to give to the foe that they are fighting. Now, when you are the world reserve currency, this is not your prerogative, let alone a country that dictates things all around the world. Now, let me just first make a statement. I am a patriot. This country has done more for me than I could ever dream of. And nothing makes me more angry than watching us destroy the privilege of being the beacon of freedom and liberty and justice and the world reserve currency and everything we are doing. I would say this current administration has done more to destroy this country in any respect than any external foe could have ever have done. And so doing things like not just weaponizing the dollar, but confiscating assets of another country and using them to fund the war efforts of the foe they're in the middle of a war with, that is a line very difficult to come back from. So you put all of that together, massive inflation, where a country has chosen inflation over austerity, the way all governments do or have, a weaponizing of the dollar and the reserve currency. And I think you have entered a new era, as Zoltan Pozsar calls it, where this is not about promises and debt instruments anymore. This is about commodities and transparency, the melding of gold, which, by the way, the Bank of International Settlements, William, reclassified as the world's only other tier one reserve asset in 2019. And so when you see the central banks buying the level of gold that they have over the last 3 years, more so than at any time ever in history, and at the same time, you look at a bank like India, who just bought 1.5 times the first 4 months of this year, bought 1.5 times what they bought all of last year, but repatriated 100 metric tons from the Bank of England, which in essence would be the London Metals Exchange. This follows suit with the massive amount of gold buying that we have seen coming out of all of the world's central banks, and the repatriation, the removal of counterparty risk, like we've seen, starting with the German Bundesbank in 2017, shortly thereafter, the Bank of Austria, Turkey, Hungary, Poland, the Czech National Bank, and all of these banks repatriating their gold. And then that just happened again here the other day, where you had Saudi Arabia and Egypt, and let me see if I have a listing of the others. I don't know if I do. Well, let's just call it really darn close to 6 African banks do the exact same thing. They brought their gold home from the New York Fed, because the New York Fed and the Bank of England have been holding everyone's gold for years, because the New York Fed is in essence the COMEX, and the Bank of England, in essence, the London Metals, the London Bullion Market Association, where these metals are all traded. So they're held in safekeeping for trading if they ever need to do it. And in the meantime, everyone felt that it would be safe to keep it in the UK and in the United States. But that trust is being eroded. So you need to inspire confidence when you issue a new system, a new currency. And that will be a currency that will be pegged to a commodity like gold, the only other tier one reserve asset in the world that the most well-funded traders on the planet continue to buy hand over fist, using the suppression of the Western paper markets to run cover for their acquisition and for real price discovery. And they will meld, I believe, the gold that they hold on their ledger or on their books with some form of a blockchain technology to show the world, to inspire confidence, to inspire veracity and immutability. So yes, I don't know that it's Tether. That seems to be kind of a lightning rod and the center of a lot of question marks. But indeed, I think the new system, whatever that system is, will be a marriage of commodities and blockchain technology. Even the new BRICS currency, we've been told for 3 years by the Russian finance minister, Sergei Glazyev, that it will be a basket, and he's intimated that it would be a basket of 40% local currencies, those currencies involved in the system, and a basket of commodities, 60%, which has to be primarily gold, which is the world's only other tier one asset. So absolutely, don't mean to answer this in such a roundabout way, but it deserves explanation.
No,
and
yes.
I think that is the future of money, will be monetization, or will be a form of digitization, if you will, just a marriage, let's just say, of blockchain technology and commodities, because you'll never get someone to drink the Kool-Aid again when the West is pissed in it in the punch bowl so many times, over and over again for so many years. No one's going to drink that again until there is a whole new punch bowl, and with the ability to prove that it is indeed backed by something that will prohibit and inhibit the governments from doing what they always have, and that is inflate their way out of problems.
Now here's some XDC content. It's just a couple minutes long, but I thought it was important. I put this together earlier today, so it's a cool little tag. And after it's over, you know, that will be the end. I won't sign off. Please like and subscribe if you like this content. Let me know what you think about Andy Sheckman's interview piece that you saw today. See you in the comments.
First off, XDC Explorer V2 has just gone live, and let me tell you, it's a game changer. The new features are out of this world. Real-time token prices via Gecko terminal, Etherscan compatible APIs, hard hat and truffle contract support. It's like Christmas came early. for the XDC community and developers. The proof of concept between SBI, XDC, and R3 has been a smashing success. It's like watching a superhero team up in the world of real-world assets, RWAs. This partnership is expected to drive some serious growth for the XDC ecosystem. Now, I know what you're thinking. Will, what about the price of XDC? Well, it's been facing some bearish trends recently, but don't you worry your pretty little head about it. There's a strong belief that XDC will bounce back and lead the charge in the next bull rally alongside Bitcoin. It's like watching a phoenix rise from the ashes, my friend. And let's not forget about Blockscan updating the Dopu's price feed on the XDC Explorer. It's like getting a fresh coat of paint on your favorite ride. Everything looks and feels better. Last but not least, the XDC community is growing and gaining trust faster than a rocket ship blasting off into space. With a strong focus on real-world asset tokenization and other innovative blockchain solutions, XDC Network is making some serious moves in the crypto world. So, there you have it, the latest and greatest from the world of XDC Network. It's like watching a blockbuster movie unfold right before your eyes. Stay tuned for more exciting updates.